If you look at this glowing interface sitting in the palm of your hand, it is easy to believe artificial intelligence is an equalizer. Because anyone with a phone can pull up a chatbot, the prevailing narrative suggests we all have equal access to the future. But that text box is a highly restricted gateway. Behind it, a rigid new social hierarchy is being actively engineered. Access to advanced computing is quietly stratifying society, and your place in it has already been assigned. Digital influence is no longer measured strictly by the money in your bank account. It is determined by the tier of AI model you are permitted to use. A select few operate with elite, unrestricted systems, while the rest of the public interacts with deliberately limited avatars. This chart illustrates the silicon genome. At the top, a brightly glowing core node represents elite models, inheriting vast data and sophisticated architecture. At the bottom, a heavily bottlenecked pipe feeds millions of tiny nodes, locking in your model's capabilities. This frontier is a gated one. While millions interact with the interface at the bottom, a complex architecture of access and influence is rising above your head, and it is time to see who is actually in control. To understand how this hierarchy functions, look at its foundation. These silhouettes sort endless streams of data. This is digital serfdom. Every sophisticated AI system requires immense amounts of human labor to function. When an AI makes a mistake or generates toxic content, it doesn't fix itself. An invisible, often underpaid workforce constantly steps in. Through a process called reinforcement learning from human feedback, these workers label images, rank responses, and manually clean up errors. The extraction goes well beyond active work. Your unplugged moments are also harvested. When you walk through a store, speak to a friend, or react to the news, surveillance infrastructure blends into public spaces to capture your natural behavior. Every laugh, pause, and gesture is recorded, anonymized, and fed directly back into the system. These raw, unscripted human reactions provide the exact training data required to make elite AI models more sophisticated. In this economy, the general public serves primarily as raw material. You provide the free labor and the human experience that feeds a system designed to mimic you, yet you are given zero control over the final product. There is a structural ceiling keeping the masses firmly at the bottom of the system. In the industry, it is known as closed weights. This diagram shows closed weights. A glowing network of algorithms is locked behind an impenetrable digital wall. You see data dripping through tiny pipes, but cannot inspect the intelligence. As the network grows, your access remains identical, fencing off knowledge to ensure your dependency. This digital barrier is enforced by physical reality. Processing capacity defines modern control. The staggering cost of massive server farms and GPU clusters makes computing power the modern equivalent of feudal land ownership. Refining raw data into safe, precise reasoning requires millions of dollars in operational costs and top-tier engineering. Because cognitive refinement is mathematically locked behind massive price tags, true parity between the classes is impossible by design. At the peak of this hierarchy, the elite do not use generic public chatbots. They employ automated courtiers. Notice how this orb pulses with a synchronized rhythm. These bespoke systems are trained to anticipate preferences, manage affairs, and act as personalized cognitive partners. Compare that to the mass-market models provided to the public. To avoid corporate risk and comply with broad regulations, public models are heavily filtered to deliver generalized, safe, and incomplete truths. Elite users operate without those filters. Their personal language models provide unredacted outputs, process highly sensitive queries, and execute deep reasoning tasks entirely hidden from public view. These unrestricted models construct tailored realities for their owners. They don't falsify facts. Instead, they selectively emphasize specific trends and quietly suppress dissenting narratives, curating an information feed that aligns perfectly with the user's worldview and status. This creates a higher tier of information, reserved strictly for those who can afford it. Humanity is splitting into different realities, defined solely by the access level of the model shaping their perception. The consequence of this structural divide is algorithmic segregation. The internet now silently sorts and isolates users based on their perceived value, feeding curated simplicity to the masses while locking them out of deeper insights. This optimization process creates a secondary effect, the selective breeding of data. Future AI models are being iterated, pruned, and optimized for speed, efficiency, and strict compliance with corporate rules. As diverse data enters this pipeline, it optimizes for elite perspectives. The system prunes marginalized voices, ensuring only uniform outputs drop through. These stack into a rigid monolith. Developers assign these minds their place, deciding who receives agency, creating an order favoring its creators. These models redistribute power toward a centralized elite. Your current access represents one single brick in an impossibly high wall, a curated enclosure designed to define the limits of your reality. Recognize the boundaries of this digital society now, while you still have the agency to see them.